Okay, hey guys, welcome to Into the Indies. This is our new gaming review video series. Basically, every other week we are going to be releasing a video of us reviewing a different game, and this week we are reviewing Cry of Fear. Now, a little brief summary of what Cry of Fear is. Basically, you're thrown into this game playing a character with almost no information on what's going on, what you're supposed to do, or how you're supposed to do it. So you then spend your time in this game figuring out what you're supposed to do, solving puzzles, and fighting enemies on your way to basically find your way to safety. So now we're going to go through and rate the different aspects of the game. Basically, the scale is just a simple 1 to 10, and we're going to start out with gameplay. So, Oscar, do you want to take that away?
Alright, because I'm a sucker for Source games, and that's what Cry of Fear runs on, imagine Cry of Fear being like the precursor to Amnesia, in that you both solve puzzles but it's more direct in the sense that you have to fight enemies, and it combines curious aspects of both jump scares as well as more of a psychological fix, and it sports the idea of more nightmare levels in which it's it's not on the direct continuity for when you're actually playing the game. Rather, it kind of splits it off and you're doing its own segment where, as far as I can tell, the sole purpose is just to scare the crap out of you as efficiently as possible, and it works. It's pretty good. If anything, it's just it has that kind of classic clunkiness that comes with Source games. It was run as a mod for the original Half-Life, so it bears a lot of the same controls and just control schematics for it. But other than that, it's not completely straightforward, as far as what you're supposed to do. But that's not to be confused with non-playability so much as just trying to figure it out and solve an actual puzzle without having just a distinct waypoint as to what to do.
Right. So we rated this game the gameplay of the game a 7. And the next category that we said was the storyline of the game. We gave this an 8. Really, there isn't a strong storyline that you know what's going on. It's more of, I said, you don't know what's going on, which is the storyline. It's really well done. I like it. It gives you they give you just enough to portray the emotions of your character and how you're supposed to be feeling, but at the same time, they don't give away enough to where you're just bored with it. You want to keep playing so you can figure out what goes on farther down in the storyline, and it also gets that horror-y feel into you.
So I did cinematics. I rated it a 6 out of 10. They had good cutscenes and everything, but the graphics weren't super great. But again, as Oscar said, it was a Source game, so obviously the graphics aren't going to be amazing. They're not going to be Far Cry 4 or modded Skyrim status, but so the graphics did take a little bit away from the cutscenes, from the cinematic viewpoint, and the animation, again, Source game animation, took a little bit away from the immersion in the story, so the cinematics weren't super great there. But other than that, the whole game has this grimy, gritty feel, and the way that the graphics play into that actually helps it in that case, because they're kind of low-res textures, it kind of adds a smudge to all the grime and stuff, which I think is kind of the redeeming factor of cinematics, so to speak, which is why I had a 6.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is immersion and replayability. We gave immersion a 7 because when you're in this game, you actually do get scared. It's a mix of, Oscar was saying, the cheap jump scares that just kind of get you to jump back in your seat, but it's also a deeper psychological kind of you're freaking out almost the entire time. So that gets you really into the game. So we gave that a solid 7. But replayability, because it's a horror game, when stuff's going to happen, when all the stuff's going to pop out, it's going to be around the next corner, and plus it's a puzzle game, so already know how to solve most of the puzzles. It's just different key phrases or something. So replayability, we only rated a 3, simply because it doesn't really have much, but that first time you play it, and even that second time you play it, it's still a fairly good game. So the next one is satisfaction, and we're all going to take turns kind of taking or saying one thing that we really liked about the game. So we're going to start out with Cameron.
One thing I really like about the game, you didn't feel like you were just playing a cheap scare game like Slender. It was like kind of like there was a deeper meaning, like the author actually had a purpose in like making it. You know, that's kind of what I liked about it. It felt like the author wasn't just trying to scare people, like kind of like trying to like put a message out there to the people playing this game.
Okay, no, I got you. What did I like about it? I wasn't a huge fan of the game, even though I do give it kudos for having good gameplay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I liked the game a ton. Although one thing I did like, or rather didn't like about it, was kind of the immersive quality of some of the jump scares, and that when a game jump scares you, it's like you kind of reel back and instinctively slam the pause button just to like kind of catch your breath. Although the game does kind of like try to fix that by making it so that by opening the inventory screen, it doesn't actually pause it, so it's a live inventory screen. But I mean, it was still all right. It wasn't terrible, but I just felt like with some of the jump scares, it's like almost predictable.
I liked the usage of the grit for one thing in the graphics and everything. I also liked the different audio usage for the creaking of the doors or screams and stuff like that. I kind of liked them. That just kind of helped me feel more immersed, and I just enjoyed that.
So audio is me. I rated it an 8 because for me, I liked all the small sounds they put in there that weren't like, they weren't loud. They were just ambient noises, and it like added to the effect of the game. Also, when they did have cutscenes and whatnot, it wasn't like filled with like tons of soundtrack. Like I like that sometimes in a game, especially in psychological games, because when they add a soundtrack, it adds like a feeling of warmth. So I like that. So I rated it an 8 because the noise quality was good. They didn't have like overly loud stuff, and the jump scares didn't like kill your ears. So
right. So it's headphone friendly.
Yeah.
So yeah, difficulty. All it does is just there's the 3 basic ones: easy, normal, hard, and the only thing that increases is just how hard the actual enemies are, like how hard they are to kill, like how many hits or how many bullets, and the decreasing of health drops. And I believe it also increases the rate in which you have to use morphine. That's like your health item. But if you abuse it and you use too much, then you start like going all hazy and you start tripping out. So you don't want to do that, too often. Otherwise, so it's an interesting gameplay mechanic, not one that's completely new, but it's still interesting. Though that brings me to Nightmare Mode. That's like the 4th difficulty, which is the hardest one, in that it changes saving so that you actually have to find an item somewhere in the game, I believe, called, it's a tape, like a VHS tape. And that's what you use, or it's either that or you get one in the beginning of the level, and then you slot that into a VHS machine, which is like the spawning indicator, or the spawn checkpoint indicator, and then that's like their fixed point for that particular level. No matter how many other ones you find, it's like you slot it in there, and that's where you chill out. So I'd give difficulty like a 7. I would have given it more of like a 4 or a 5 if it was just the basic, easy, normal, hard. But because Nightmare Mode adds a different gameplay mechanic, it gets a 7.
Yeah. Another thing really quick with difficulty was like the fact that it was a puzzle game. Like they weren't super easy, but they weren't super hard either. So, and we didn't explore all of it. So I would like to see the difficulty of some of the other puzzles. Moving on to price. This is a short one. It's a free game, which is awesome because basically, like we said, it doesn't have high replayability, so you can download it, you can play it once or twice on different difficulties and be done, and it's not going to cost you any money. So that's kind of a great point. So we gave it a 10. So the last thing that we're going to touch up on is controls for the game.
Yep.
Oscar.
That's just basic Source controls. If you've played any game on Source that isn't heavily modified, like Gary's mod, Counter-Strike Source, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Original Half-Life, anything. It's just WASD, tab to open inventory that doesn't pause. It's not a pause button, but it opens the inventory. Control jumping. It's just a simple plug-in for controls. So they're easy. They're not difficult to use, like, at all. So yeah, I mean, I don't believe it's supported by controllers, but there's not really a reason that you need one anyways. So
Okay, so that is our review for Cry of Fear. Thank you guys for watching. If you have anything else that you think that we should add to our kind of list of things that we go over when we're reviewing a game, feel free to make a comment below. Also, subscribe and rate this video. And if you want to see me play this game or him play some other games, you can either check out my channel, The Tranquil Gamer, or his channel, The Chaotic Gamer. And you can also check us play games together at The Balanced Gamer. But other than that, go watch some more videos on Better Than Coffee, and we'll see you guys next time on Into the Indies.